Hi, my name is Jason Jones, and today I would like to talk about a project that I've been working on in Nim called Gerbil. To give a short introduction, I'm a software developer in Utah in the United States, and I like programming in a variety of languages. Nim is one of my favorite languages now, and I can be found on Twitter at JasonProgrammer and also on GitHub at the same handle. So what do I mean when I say a dynamic site generator? I thought that would be best explained if I review what a static site generator is first. So what is that? When I think of a static site generator, I think of a program that helps me set up a website with some form of templating system, and then it helps me create new pages in some format like Markdown or RST, in some directory structure or hierarchy, and then it helps me build the site into those HTML pages, and then I can deploy those. Static websites, at least what I think of when I think of static websites, they load really fast, it's easy to create content using them, and maintenance is really easy, and it's really easy to set everything up. But what if you want user comments, and not user comments that are hosted by a third party, maybe for privacy reasons or for SEO reasons? Maybe you want those included in the page when it loads. Also, what if you want dynamic data loaded with your page and you don't want to load it with JavaScript? And maybe you want that also for SEO reasons. Or maybe you want a custom contact form. Maybe you have customers and you want them to fill out information and you want to submit that into a database, and you want to handle that yourself. It's a custom form. In that case, you probably want to run your own. You probably want a backend. You probably want some kind of services that you can submit this data to and handle it. So in that context, what is a dynamic site generator? A dynamic site generator in this context, in the context that I'm talking about, it's a nim library or a binary that helps you set up a site with a templating system, in this case, a mustache templating system. It helps you create markdown pages in some sort of hierarchy. It helps you build the site. So it helps build navigation. It helps build those markdown pages into HTML so that when a user requests a page, it loads really quickly. And then, but this also, this binary helps serve the site as well. And there are different reasons why you'd want to do that, and I'll get into that. So preferably with a dynamic site generator, I want the same results. I want it to be fast, I want it to be easy to create content, and I want it to be low maintenance. I want a single binary that helps me scaffold the site, it helps me build all the navigation and all the pages, and serves it. Well, it turns out that Nim has really great libraries for this. Between Jester and argparse, Markdown Mustache, CLI Gen, you can put together a really great CLI scaffolding tool to help you build the site, and you can also serve it. So in this instance, what is Gerbil? What are the specifics behind it? So first, I thought it would be easiest to kind of demonstrate and show you what it is. So if we go to getgerbil.com, then this is what we see. And if we scroll down below where the features are, there is a Getting Started guide. So if we click on the Getting Started guide, we see that there are some prerequisites. Since it's a website, there's Node.js as a prerequisite. It's recommended that you install NVM. Just kind of helps you manage the versions of Node.js that you have installed. And Nim right now is a prerequisite, since this is it's not yet an official Nimble package yet. So what we first do is let's clone the repository. So once these files are brought down, you'll notice that there are two significant directories to a Gerbil site. There is the site directory and there is the web directory. And we will see those files shortly. Okay, so in this directory we have a site directory and we have a web directory, and now let's discuss what those mean. So the site directory is for any site-specific configuration settings that you might have that is specific to your Gerbil site. It also contains any sort of markdown articles, any of the static files that are specific to each piece of content that you write, and any of those markdown pages that you write will be stored in this site directory. There's also a web directory that has all of your CSS, all your JavaScript, all of your any site-wide images that you have, and any site-wide templates that you have, all the mustache templates. So kind of the overall look and feel of your site will be governed by all the web files in this directory. So in the site directory, there's a pods directory. A pod is synonymous with a topic. So a pod is a topic. You could name a pod anything. If you want to write articles about nim, you could have a nim pod. So articles that are underneath those topics, that are underneath those pods, they each have their own static directory for the static files. If there are any images or files that you want to group with that content, those will be under that static directory. Articles also have syntax highlighting for source code, and they also have comments. So any articles that you write, when that article is displayed on your website, there will be a comment form at the bottom. There's also a pages directory, and this stores markdown files that have slug naming. So in other words, if we were to have a contact form it's not an article, we don't want people to comment on that. It's just a contact form and we want to have we want the URL to be a contact-me URL for our site. Then what we would do is we would add this markdown file to the pages directory, and when the site is built, it will build this markdown into HTML, and that URL route will be created. So first, let's see what it's like to create an article with Gerbil. So now that we've pulled our files down, we do need to run a nimble install. Since this is not yet an official Nimble package, this is the easiest way to install it. Now it's a hybrid package, so it's actually setting up a Gerbil binary as well as installing a Gerbil library, so you can use it as either one. In this case, when we create an article under here, we're going to be using the Gerbil binary. So let's create an article first, and let's call it. Let's pretend that we're creating an article on nim. So maybe nim is our topic. So this topic doesn't yet exist. So now that we've run that, you'll notice that it has created a new pod with a metadata file, and it's created a content ID. This random string here is a content ID. This YR4 string. And it's created some other metadata files and an empty markdown file. So we can edit this file. And maybe we want to write an article on nim. Maybe we want some... Maybe we want to add some nim code in there. And I'll look for some nim code. So let's add some nim code in there that's from the repository. Okay, so let's save that file. We'll exit out of our editor, and then let's do a Gerbil build. Now it built all of the files It built all of our articles. Now, since we just pulled down the Gerbil repository, this includes all of the tutorial and documentation content that is on the getgerbil.com site. But it also built our article as well. So now let's do a Gerbil serve, and this should serve our Gerbil site on port 5000. So one thing that you'll notice is now that we've brought it up, there's no styling. And the reason that there's no styling here is because we have not run the web build. So we've not gone into the web directory. That's something that we need to do. So at our shell, we run this command, these series of commands that are specified in the Gerbil quick start. So we run these commands to build the front end files. And so we're using NVM in this case. It's very convenient to have a .nvmrc in your directory and have NVM automatically use the appropriate version of Node.js. So now we've built our site, we should be able to go back to our browser and we should see a version of our site now that is styled. So when we refresh the page, now our site is styled just like the getgerbil.com page and with the same content. So now you'll notice that our nim topic is there. It's a lowercase n, so we might want this to appear with a capital N, and so this is one thing that the meta.json files are for. We can go back to our shell and we can go into our site directory, into our pods directory, and we see our nim pod there. We can edit the meta.json in that directory and change it to a capital N. Then we can do a gerbil build and a gerbil serve. And when we refresh the page, now we have a capital N. So it's nice having the meta.json files because you can name the topic whatever you want in the display name and have the directory be named as you want it on the file system. Let's look at our article now to see. So if we browse to this pod or this topic, to our nim topic, we can see that it will display links for all of the articles that are in that pod or in that topic. And as we click on our article, we notice that we have syntax highlighting that is specific to nim, and we have our header at the top, and we have a comment form at the bottom because this is an article and articles have that comment form at the bottom by default. And so this is an article. Now let's talk about pages. Pages are similar to articles in that they're written in Markdown, but they don't have comments that are associated with them. They don't have syntax highlighting. They don't have some of the other benefits. They don't have the same breadcrumb navigation that articles have. So there is a little bit of a distinction between a page and an article. Pages are really easy to create. If we drop back to our shell, we can enter the pages directory, the site pages directory, and you'll see there's a sample root page in there that's a markdown page. We can create a new one. So let's say we wanted to create one called Contact Me. So let's say we want to put, this is not going to be a good contact page, but let's just put a simple link in there, Okay, so let's say we create that. That's probably not even a valid Twitter link. It's not actually. Okay, so let's say we do that. And then now let's do a Gerbil build. Of course, actually we'll want to stop the site that we have running. And we'll serve the site again. Then we can switch back to our browser and we can check and see if our contact page exists. And it does. And I won't bother trying to follow that link, but our contact me page exists. Now, let's say if we want to add a link to this on the home page, the homepage content, I will show you how to edit the homepage content. The homepage content is actually in HTML in a template file. So if we go back to our shell and we go in the web templates directory, there's a home content.html file, and this comprises the all of the inner content portion of the home page. So if we want to say we want to put our contact page in there, our special contact, we just, why not delete that, and then we'll just put a little link in here. Whoops, it's not marked down. We'll put that in there. Then we can refresh the page, and there's our contact me page. And now we've edited the content portion of the home page. Now we can talk about another feature, and that is user comments. You probably noticed that at the bottom of each article page there is a comment form, and the users can type in a markdown formatted comment, and then after they enter that comment, hopefully they answer a spam prevention question successfully, and when they submit that, there's the answer to that question is encrypted and included on the page, and when the form is submitted, that answer is decrypted and compared with what they entered. In the site directory, there's a secrets.json file, and that indicates these encryption secrets, along with a moderator, some moderator credentials that are used to help moderate comments. When the moderator, so in order to moderate comments, there's a moderate login page, and at the top there, at the top in the URL, there's a pin that's put in there, and that says pin equals secret pin. The pin is there to help prevent discovery of the moderator URL. So if the pin is incorrect, a 404 will be returned. It's simply to prevent snooping. And if the pin is correct, and it does count the number of times that failures are performed. So if somebody is trying to guess, if somebody knows that you were running this and they were trying to guess your pin, they couldn't brute force it because it counts the number of times, and then it will lock, and there's a way to unlock that. But the easiest way to explain this is you just enter the pin correctly in the URL, and then this login form comes up, and you enter the username and password and sign into the moderator portion of the site. Now, there's only one comment showing in this list, but if a comment was entered, you'll see it in this list. And then if you click on that link to view the comment that was submitted, you'll see the markdown that was submitted, and you'll see the HTML that will be generated as a result of that markdown. There specifically is not a preview shown of this in case someone was able to perform a cross-site scripting attack. Hopefully you'd be able to notice it in the markup. Then there is a preview page. So once you decide to preview the comment, if the comment looks good, you decide to preview it, then you can either publish or reject it. And after you publish it, then the comment is shown as published, and you can go back to that moderator page and go approve more comments. So what other features exist what other features exist inside of Gerbil? If we go back to the getgerbil.com site, we can see some of these features that exist under this features header. Some of these features include embedding one piece of content into another using a custom XML tag, tagging content within a pod, so you can edit the meta.json file for that piece of content, and you can add tags. And then when you build the site, a tags page will be built that you can view. So that's also possible. Anchor links to headers so that users can link to specific portions of your page based on the headers. And embedding HTML in the Markdown, which is really useful if you need to do something that isn't supported by Markdown. You can embed HTML into the Markdown for your articles or for your pages, and that's extremely useful. So one of the final things that I have to discuss, that I have to talk about, is deploying, how to deploy Gerbil. So it's fairly straightforward. The recommended way to run this is to use Nginx or Apache as a reverse proxy, so that whoever visits your site, they're first going through Nginx before they get to you, basically, is the idea. And so you, in order to set this up, what I do is I compress and I copy the files, and I have a script that does this. And I've included the script in the repository, and I'll probably write an article detailing how I do this in case you want to do it the same way. I compress the needed files along with the Gerbil binary, and I copy those to a server. So I SCP those to a server, and then I set up Gerbil to run under systemctl. It's fairly straightforward there's a configuration file setup that you can do. And then I set up Nginx as a reverse proxy to point to Gerbil that's running on port 5000 on that box. So you could use DigitalOcean, you could use Linode, you could use AWS. So I set that up that way. And then when I need to update the site, all I do is run that same script that compresses and copies the files to the server. Then I SSH into the server, and I have another script that just decompresses that archive and overwrites the files. And if I've updated the Gerbil binary, then I do a systemctl restart. And if I haven't, then just copying the files over does it. One thing that's convenient about having this all be flat file-based is I can back up the whole site, including all the comments, just by copying that directory. So that concludes the presentation, and that's all. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me, ping me on Twitter or some other way, and thank you.